Sure, absolutely. Actually, to be honest with you, I didn't have lunch today.
Why?
Yeah, that sounds crazy, but I was just thinking about should I just come up with something, and say, oh, I did have that great lunch, I ordered some chicken or I did some chicken, but no, I'm planning to have. Actually, it was like a very, intense day today with, a
Okay.
lot of pre-screens and meetings. Wednesday is usually like the meetings that we have internally, like we have the marketing meeting, we have the sales strategy meeting, then I had some screens, then I had a one-on-one with my with the HR director and with Donna. So it's been like back to back. So that's why I really didn't have an opportunity. I had a sandwich and some coffee, but I find that actually for myself, it's really interesting when I'm excited about something, when I'm up to something, and or part of something really exciting. I find that I don't want to eat, when I'm just like on a run, and
Yep.
then when I get it done, then I might have a good lunch or whatever that is. So yeah.
So, Kiri, we've had video conferences before. We've met IRL before. I'm curious what you think about my new office. I went to astronaut school,
I
and
love it.
this is the first time I'm using a background. I'm curious if my ears are disappearing, but
Exactly.
seems pretty
Or
fun.
arms,
You're
it's like,
disappearing.
yeah, the hands are literally like, look.
That you're in the Matrix, man. That's just weird.
That is
So
so funny.
I'm gonna take a stab in the dark that you work
Yeah,
at Fidus.
absolutely.
What's Fidus all about?
Fidus, Fidus is a leader in electronic product development. And what is Fidus is, it's really about, I would say, it's a lot of things, but I can tell you that Fidus has an outstanding, positive culture within, and very supportive culture. And, our people, our employees are everything to us. Fidus envisions, and designs highly complex, leading, edge products in different industries. And, we tend to have or go after, complex, highly complex designs and leave, the simpler work to others. So it's really, Fidus has grown significantly and we're doing a lot of unique things. That's why, it's a great company to be part of, especially as I said, culturally wise and professionally in terms of the technology. Yeah.
And so we first met when, I guess it was 3 years ago or 2 years ago.
Yep.
You were transitioning from owning your own recruiting
Correct.
a business to becoming an employee of a recruiting business.
That's right.
Being in that headhunting world for so long, being that outdoor cat for so long, and then going to work for someone else as an outdoor cat in that headhunting game. Walk me through what's changed and what your role is now with Fidus,
Hmm.
and what was it like making that life-changing decision literally a week before we all started working from home?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, the decision was catching the last train basically. So I can tell you that what I really, and that's another answer, but what I really like or love about Vitus is that entrepreneurial spirit where you have the ability to implement or create your own ideas and implement them. That creativity is huge. So I'm really about that, and they give you that space to be able to do things like you're sort of owning your own business within a company. um, so, but in terms of the decision, I, I always wanted, so, like working in a recruiting company as an employee, you deal with a lot of clients. We have to really, be able to jump from one project to another, fill in a lot of roles. And here's the thing is that my goal, it's not just, throwing resumes or candidates at a client, but it's really being an expert and understanding who you're looking for. It's a personality. We're looking for talent. We're looking for individuals. So for me, number one thing was to build the relationship with those candidates, and as well as being an expert for the client that I'm working for, to know that client so well as like I'm working for that company. That's what I was always tell my client is, hey guys, I'm digging in deeply to understand your business, so that way I'm sort of an extension of your company, and that way I can bring you the best top talent. And finding the top talent, it's always about learning and building the relationship, and not just treating them as another piece of resume or commodity or whatever.
Right.
So that thing, and because I had like 8 or 10 different clients, it was challenging, to really be that extension for every single one, and to be part of, that client, and to be an extension, and to be, to sell on the opportunity. So when I was talking to the client, to the candidate, the big thing for me was, to tell that story about the client, to tell them that, moving forward, they're going to make a huge step forward by joining this organization, and, impressing them with this opportunity. And I can only do that if I believe in this company and what they do. So I found that it was quite challenging, to be able to do that with like 10 clients. And I came to realization that, first of all, I really wanted to move into a corporate world with a high tech. I always had a dream, because first of all, I have a master's in computer science, and high tech was always, exciting, something trendy. It's like it's the future. So, and I always wanted to move to high tech, but the main thing was to move to a company where, as I said, I could be an expert for one company.
Mm.
It's sort of having that one client and dealing with that one client and finding best people, creating, the ecosystem of best contractors, best candidates, attracting them, creating the awareness, and dedicating yourself to one company for a lot of years. And that was a huge part. And that way, I started, looking for an opportunity. I started being myself. I opened myself to the market, still being kind of employed. I was looking, at some opportunities within high tech, and and then so Fidus was, I had another person that I knew. He's at a senior director level, and I've talked to him. He knows some people at Fidus at the leadership level. All of them mentioned the best things about Fidus, and I interviewed with them, and it was like, you're right. It was right in the middle when everything started with the pandemic. But it's like, living the dream. I just followed my dream, my goal. I was like, yes, I'm a little bit afraid to step out of, when you have maybe some stability. You've been with a company for like 2 years, you've built the relationship, you've built credibility. So for me, it was like, no, you have to, I have to go out of my comfort zone. That's the only way to achieve and to be, improve and to be better, right? Is to step out, follow your dream, and it worked out perfectly well. So every day is a challenge, man. Every day it's like going out of your comfort zone. I've noticed if I push myself, so every day is like sort of making that step towards a new company, but in some way it's like making that step towards improving, towards making a decision, towards new things that you don't know. And yeah, so that's the way it was,
So
and I'm happy that I've done that, that I made that
you
decision.
you have many years on the headhunting side of things, the sourcing side of things, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you X-ray LinkedIn, Google, Boolean, all of that,
Exactly. Yeah.
one-to-one communication methodology and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You talked about attracting the right people. You talked about dedicating and telling the story and all of that kind of stuff. You're Fidus's first dedicated hiring or recruiting person.
Correct. Yeah, they do have an HR director, but in terms of like sort of a hunter or dedicated talent acquisition specialist, that's right, the first.
So certainly you have the ability to do the one-off stuff. Um, what's your plan to clone yourself and have more of the right people coming to you?
Hmm. You know, first of all, it's a great thing that I was able to put sort of some. It's a great question, by the way. great question. I do have a plan, in my head in terms of attracting the best people. And first of all, it's creating and just leveraging some, methodologies that I've used before. It's great that I had an ability or skill, to hunt for passive candidates, and be able to attract them for an opportunity or sell the company. So I'm definitely going to do that and keep on doing that, when it's needed. But for me, the biggest thing is to create a model or a system where, a lot of candidates within our industry, I would say every single one, all the engineers, and what we do, the FPGA, the PCB layout, the ASIC, the hardware, the software, and we do all, complex projects within the industry for, top Fortune 100 clientele. It's the ability, to really, be able to kind of attract those and create a system where every single one would know Fidus as, a top employer in the industry. A company that is not just only, there's a lot of things like tier one company, technology that we're using, the package, not just compensation, but the people, the culture. There's so many aspects. So for myself, it's creating that system that would attract candidates. Either and there's a lot of things that we can do in terms of that, and that's why we have started a conversation with with yourself and Tyler about cooperating and partnering, because that's where I think we could have a very fruitful cooperation for you to help us create that story and be able to really have candidates who just apply. Those are the best. You don't have to go and hunt, right? Just creating a pool of the best candidates. So that's kind of my goal. The other thing is creating, definitely, automating things, creating an applicant tracking system, structuring, processing, yeah. So basically improving the employer brand or employer branding for Fidus on
But
the talent
Kyry,
acquisition side.
this may be sharing personal information, but I think you're going to be okay with it. Um,
Absolutely. Oh, for sure.
I understand you drive a Vespa,
What is that?
like a motor scooter.
Yes, I do. I do. Actually,
So
a small,
here's
yes, little one.
here's something. I'm going to toss an idea your way, and bear in mind I'm an idea guy,
Yeah.
but for every 100 ideas I get, maybe one or two is good. So grain of salt. I think you should consider taking your screen wrap thing, like your Fidus screen thing,
Yep.
wrap your Vespa, and then get a full leather suit done the same, and then just putt around, and then you could be the Fidus scooter guy.
Wow, I think that's a great idea, actually.
I think, I think it's one of my winners, but like,
The leather thing. You know, when I walked in, and it was like, imagine I really have that little, like, it's a scooter. It's not a huge bike, but I do have like a helmet, like the one that the bike, the big bikes, helmets.
yeah,
And I have a jacket, to protect, and the special like pants and all of that stuff. And when I was, I was driving my scooter to the office, and when I was walking into the office, people thought, "Oh my goodness, he's probably driving like some extremely expensive, cool bike." And I'm like, "Hey, go ahead and look outside the window." And with his helmet, and they look outside, and there's like that little scooter, but it's like that old school Honda, scooter, which oh my goodness, I just love it. It's kind of their European style. But yes, but actually that's a great idea, because having that leather thing, and yeah, I
I
should
think
try that.
I think if
Sure guy.
anything, it'll be a good way to connect with people. And
Absolutely.
there's only so many. What are you, 6'3", 6'2"?
6'2". Yeah.
So there's only so many 6'2" tall guys in Canada
Driving.
driving teeny little scooters with like a sweet leather getup. I'm just saying,
Exactly.
it's a pretty quick way to differentiate.
Yeah.
Um, so you've been
Oh.
there now a couple of weeks. You went in with certainly intent. You knew what you wanted. Now you've been drinking from the fire hose for a couple
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
What has surprised you the most going from being that outdoor cat to now being the indoor cat that's tasked to build the whole system?
You know, I think it's just being able, the number one thing that, and I would say probably it's not even that I would say it's surprise, but something that I would say I would have to be, you have to work on, you know, and something that I realized is important to be able to build is, you know, basically building the relationship within the organization with, you know, internal stakeholders, understanding, you know, their how their mindset, you know, the way of thinking, the way of processing things. Because, you know, I come in as like a you know, sort of a hunter. You know, I would want to push things. You know, let's do this quickly. You know, get in front of that guy. Let's get it done. But some people are just not like that, and I find that adapting to the people's way of doing business, or, you know, running things, is important. I'm not saying that I would have to lose myself, but still it's important to know the, you know, every single one, so that way we can create an effective way of communication. So I think for me the communication thing was a big thing to realize, you know, to be able to look at, to make sure that I'm doing the right thing in terms of communicating internally, you know, structuring that, and the other thing is that, you know, because a lot of them were not used to having an internal talent acquisition specialist. Actually, the feedback that I got, I just had a call with an executive advisor. He's part of Fidus, and he told me that the feedback was amazing. That I bring that, you know, positivity and energy and hard work, that a lot of, you know, and communication, the feedback that a lot of, you know, folks were waiting for. Because it might be like, you know, oh, there's a wreck. Hey, I need that guy with that skill. Just go bring that guy to me, you know. And but creating kind of a structure and knowing ahead of what's going on in advance, so I can plan, you know, and understand what's going to happen. That's important. So corporate world is different, you know. It is different. In recruiting, you're kind of on your own. You're just, you know, your own hunter. You have to get the revenue, whatever, win the business. I find that in corporate, and by the way, that's a question that I wanted to ask you, because you have a ton of experience. It's just been a month in corporate world, man. Like, come on, I'm just telling you a little bit of what I'm feeling, right?
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that might change within the next, you know, 2 weeks. But what I'm feeling is that the communication and building that relationship and that structure within the company, and making sure that you're just not looking at your own goals, but it's just, you know, it's a company goal now, it's everyone's goals, and putting them together, and, you know, and making sure that we're just efficient and hitting the same goal for the business is important. But I'm eager to hear what your thoughts are in terms of corporate changes. You know, what is it like compared to you know, to the recruiting world in terms of the being at the agency, right?
Yeah.
So
So
just
I
curious.
I made the transition from agency to self-employed 2010, I think,
Yeah.
ish, somewhere in there. And then I went into corporate. And so for me, I can't say what is the right thing to do, but what I will share is what I did, and it seemed to work for me.
Hmm.
And that was focus on relationship building, period. I didn't know anything about software. I didn't know anything about, I moved to Ottawa. I only knew one person in Ottawa when I moved here.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was very much approaching it from the perspective of a continuous learner, a student. I don't know what I don't know.
Yep.
To this day, I don't know the difference between Java and JavaScript. It just doesn't compute in my brain. I don't need to know that.
You don't need to know to be able to attract people, right? At the same
Well,
time.
that's the whole idea. At least that's my belief system. So
Yeah.
I think what you're doing right now with the embedding yourself in the business will yield positive results for you for sure. And I think bringing the energy that you have, regardless if you get the leather, suit that I really want, I think injecting that energy is going to do nothing but positive things. But Kyry, what's the website? How can people get a hold of you? Where can they see what you're looking for?
So the website is basically fidus.com, and there's a link to open positions, and it's basically where we have, you know, those positions that are open and are available at the moment, as well as we have a LinkedIn page, Fidus Systems LinkedIn page, where we, you know, post all of our open roles. We do have Instagram and other, you know, other different social media platforms, but for now, those are the main, and where you can get all the contact information, and those will get to me. And what I'm really, you know, what I really, you know, like about Fidus is that what I find is, you know, and I'm learning, you know, this from other people and from the director of HR, is, you know, being like, if someone applied, or, you know, we have someone that sent an email to us, is like, you know, communicating with every single one, you know, responding, you know, so to keep, even if that person, even if he's not a fit or whatever, but just having that personal touch, responding. I've actually haven't seen that, you know, often. I don't remember seeing that at other places where it would be like, oh, he's not a fit, don't bother yourself, you know, don't waste your time, whatever. And here it's like, you have to build relationship, you have to communicate, because you represent, you're the face of the company, and we have to make sure that every single one there on the market knows us as a great company, you know, communicative, supportive, all of that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Listen, Kyry, I got a jet, but all the best with everything you're doing. Stay safe. I'm gonna go. Hang on, one second. I'm gonna
Thanks,
go to
buddy.
my office in San Francisco.
Wow, that's a, hey, hold
Or
on. I'm just gonna go to, I'm changing the place here. Just give me a second. I'm actually on my scooter right now, so um, yeah, here you go. I have a villa here, so I'm working remotely. I just moved to my
I
house.
think now that I know that this is a feature, I am going to be entertained for hours.
Exactly. There's so many of them out there.
Be safe.
Virtual background. Take care, my friend. Thank you so much, buddy.
Always
All the best. Cheers.